you're constantly going to stay triggered. And if you're constantly triggered, you're going to do things to try to calm yourself down. And often, if it's mindless, is quite often for many people, especially women, is eating. Usually, the brain needs nutrition, but usually we're just eating too much fuel, even if it's living foods that we don't need. Greetings, this is Body-Culinary, and this is gardenia. I think you've seen that before. This is gardenia. So someone gave it to my best sister friend for her birthday, and she passed it on to me. And I have never smelled perfume or fragrance so intense. It's like if you go to the wholesalers for oils back in the day for cocoa mango and blue Nile and frankincense and myrrh, and you smell those really potent perfume oils. And this smells exactly like that. So if you have an opportunity, please see if you can get to smell some real fresh gardenia, because it's such an experience. This fragrance is so potent. It smells like really strong fragrance or like a perfume. And it's rare that we smell that in a lot of flowers today. Many of us in the city may not even be surrounded or have access to a lot of flowers. So that was number one today, gardenia. And number two is, the beautiful thing about my crown, or we could say semi-FreeForm Locs, or that I'm experiencing, is I love the way my crown looks to me when I first wake up. Like I woke up like this without having to put on any makeup or having to do anything. I love the look of my crown when I wake up. No oil on my pillows, just free, and it's a wonderful experience. It's very comforting, or being able to sit more and more comfortable in my own skin every day when I look at my crown, my reflection in the mirror. So that's encouragement for you out there to embrace your crown and accept. A lot of times we try to get it to do other things other than what it does. So if anything, learning to love and appreciate in action your own hair and your own skin really allows you to be comfortable, and it's very freeing. So it's something that you may want to try. The other thing was for the previous week, I had some very intense, really sweaty, intense workouts, which really felt excellent on my back. Since coming to Central America, I haven't worked out nearly as much. Most likely a fraction of what I used to do, but then my lifestyle has been different. I spend a lot more time in the garden, but there's also definitely been a lot more sitting. Previously, I never had any jobs where I had to sit, and now I find myself having to sit for hours at the computer, which was never the case before. So in order to do certain things to communicate with the world outside of Central America, I'm having to sit on the computer. So that being said, it has not felt good on my back, and I didn't have any issues with my back until I came to Central America. So I can definitely say from personal experience, not moving as much, not necessarily to run a marathon or for aesthetics, just not moving as much, not healthy for the back. It has not felt good. So in a week of doing lots of stretching and moving and sweating, that feels night and day. Night and day, night and day, night and day. So that brings me to one of the things I wanted to touch on this early day, is that eating large amounts of food, even I'm a living foodist, or not I am, but I consume living foods. And even if it's living foods, to quiet down and notice the states that we're in when we're consuming food. There's a lot of information there. And I was communicating with a young woman yesterday, and she was sharing that, she was eating lots and lots of food. She said she wasn't even hungry. Now, this woman, she's not overweight or anything, but I just think it's interesting. She was just so free and honest in her expression. She was saying, I wasn't hungry. I was just eating and eating and eating. And she said she felt like she had, just been going through life mindlessly And I think it's very easy in Western culture for us to put all these labels: anorexic, bulimic, binging, all these other things. Well, without the labels, we can say out of boredom, out of a lack of focused direction or purpose, we'll do many things that are mindless, either to numb out or to not be present or just going through the motions or not knowing which direction to go. And so, it's really beneficial to have someone, not to put them on a pedestal, but to have someone to communicate that may have a couple more years on them, or that can give you some insight or some experience, who may not be doing the same thing. So I can say, even as a living foodist, you can notice the tendency, especially if you're first transitioning, but not limited to that, that you may have a tendency when you're stressed or you're having stressful conversations or you're looking at stressful things on the internet to want to munch mindlessly, even if that is fruit. But fruit is very hydrating and watering. We want to notice all these things if we're just going for the sugar, but we're not burning that fuel off, or if we're going for things like I noticed recently, buckwheat, which is not a wheat, but just the crunch of it, and then sugar with the bananas. Now, minding, I'm not burning this stuff off because I'm sitting at the computer, but I'm just noticing the more of certain habits that you do, the more you build these patterns, into you. These things become habitual. So just something to notice, especially in the quiet early day, how you feel after eating mindlessly. For me, if I was to eat nuts or seeds, particularly if they're not soaked, it doesn't feel good. It feels very heavy, very weighty, because they are not logged. The food that I'm eating is not bogged down with so many chemicals and powders and things like that. I can just be more sensitive and feel how they feel in my system, that the nuts or the seeds may not digest, and that they're actually very heavy for my system. So although I may be liking the comforting feeling or sensation like a pacifier of eating nuts or seeds, I'm much more present to the fact that they don't digest easily, just eating loads and loads of fat. And from a nutritional standpoint, although they are living fats, they're not fried and boiled, it's still a lot of calories packed into a small space. So if you're looking to get full or to eat emotionally off of nuts and seeds, it's very easy to overeat a lot of those things. I think it definitely contributed years ago when I first started out, because it's been quite a few years, maybe it's going on 10 years or so as a living foodist. But I used to eat lots and lots of nuts and seeds, and that, in addition to, at one point, when the junk food, eating health junk from the health food store, it contributed to a lot of bad adult acne. And I personally like to feel my skin breathe and don't want to be a slave to makeup and feel like I can't walk out of the door and be comfortable in my own skin. I want to, in addition to the chemicals and the cost, I don't want to feel like a slave to makeup, where I have to put on mascara and I have to put on earrings and I have to put on all of these things. I just want to feel healthy and comfortable in my own skin. So all that to say, if I was speaking to my younger self, I would say just to notice, just learn to observe and sit with your feelings. That may be easier to do when you're not eating fake food, and the food does have water and fiber and distinct nutrition in it, where you can feel a sense of satiation, where you feel physically full. You may not get that. Most likely you're not going to get that with potato chips. I used to be a big Bon-Ton potato chip person, and then a health food store potato chip person. But that's not real food. So at least farther along the spectrum, if you're eating real foods, you have the ability to feel more full. But when we're eating mindlessly, without putting all the labels of good and bad on your being, just to notice if you're constantly having stressful conversations and constantly complaining rather than being on your purpose and taking corrective action, and you're around stressful people, you're constantly going to stay triggered. And if you're constantly triggered, you're going to do things to try to calm yourself down. And often, if it's mindless, it's quite often for many people, especially women, is eating. So, because we don't normally think to to calm ourselves down with some green apple juice, with some fresh green apples and some cucumber and some kale, or water, or things like that. Usually the brain needs nutrition, but usually we're just eating too much fuel, even if it's living foods that we don't need. So just as some insight for this early day before I head off to do some physical activity, you want to do things that feel good to the body, and also as people, women, we like to feel love and affection, and it's a good thing to give that stroking and that affection to you first. It's really important that we give that to our own being first. And when you're giving that, it's going to show up, and other people are going to be more inspired to want to give that to you too. All right, so this is Body-Culinary. Let me know what you feel about eating mindlessly without making your own being or good or bad, without making you good or bad, without the judgment, but just noticing how you feel when you're eating more fuel than you need. And can you notice when you need hydration, or you need sleep, or you're being triggered by stressful conversation or people that you engage with habitually where it's stressful, and what your reaction is to it, and what are your habitual reactions, and what you see as some solutions. So this is Body-Culinary. Create a great day.